Hey dolls, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time here, welcome. And if it is not your first time, you already know I'm glad to see your face. Today we are continuing on with our self-development series for the month of January because we are going to get your whole life together this year and beyond. And today I want to talk about imposter syndrome. Okay, so if that interests you, make sure you stick around, grab yourself a drink, a snack, and let's get into this video. Now, imposter syndrome is when you feel like a fraud and you feel like you just have a constant doubting of your abilities. You might find trouble accepting your accomplishments or receiving accolades, and pretty much you just have a fear of like being found out. Like if people find out who I really am, they're not going to feel like I'm deserving to be in this position. And so you constantly have this self-doubt going on in your mind. Imposter syndrome honestly has been felt a lot by high achieving individuals, people that typically have big dreams, that are really just like crushing their goals, people that are moving in like high spaces when it comes to their career and things like that. Not to say that people that don't move in these spaces can't feel imposter syndrome, but it's something that could really be crippling because it's like a double-edged sword. Like on one end, you're achieving your goals, and I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Unless you truly are an imposter, then that's a different conversation to be had, because if you feel like an imposter and you're out here stealing people's ideas, you genuinely don't know what you're doing or what you're talking about, then your feelings are probably accurate. I know I didn't have to snatch edges like that, but I'm just saying, like, you feeling like an imposter in that case is accurate. But if you actually know the subject matter, or you actually know what you're doing, and you know what I'm saying, like you actually are deserving, like you actually put in the hard work, then why are you feeling like an imposter? It's like there's definitely some inner things going on with self-doubt, maybe a lack of self-worth, just a negative view of self or a doubting view of self, where it's like, I'm not as smart as them, I'm not as talented as them, and you like belittle yourself. And honestly, I feel like a part of this also feeds into what they call, like, I think it's the expert's curse, where you might be wanting to start a business, for instance, and this is very common amongst infopreneurs and people that have like intellectually based businesses. So their businesses built around their intellectual property. It can be very common to see this because it's like, I'm not smart enough to teach on this subject matter. I'm not smart enough to basically lead people in this direction, because we feel like we have to have it all figured out. And so you're so familiarized with the information at hand that you feel like it's not significant, but then you tell that information to somebody else, a client or whatever, and they're like astonished and amazed by it, because it's like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe that you know this information, and you're sitting there and you're just like, what? And so like they see the worth in you, and they see the value in paying you for your services, your products, whatever it is that they're using. And then because they see that worth in you, you have a sense of self-doubt. And it's like, but wait, what if they find out that I don't know everything? What if they find out that like I just found that out last week? It's almost like if you're in college, and I used to do this a lot, y'all. Like I say, I work best under pressure. And honestly, I really struggle with procrastination, but I'm not even gonna hold you. Some of my best work in college happened like a day or two before it was actually due to the professor. And I'm just cranking it out, because it's like I'm laser focused. And so I would, let's say, write an essay, and this has happened, like I said, and I literally crank that thing out like the night before, and I go to class the next day and it's turned in or whatever. And then a week later or 2 weeks later, when the professor is done marking the paper and I get an A, I can feel like a fraud, because it's like, oh man, like this professor is praising my work, and like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like I could tell, that you really put some thought into it. And it's like, if they only knew that I literally put this together the day before it was due, like I barely put any thought into this. I literally am just winging it. It can make you feel some type of way, but at the same time, it minimizes your sense of just accepting the fact that like, yeah, you might have done it the night before, but that comes with some wisdom, that comes with a sense of intellect that not everybody can pull that off, that comes with a sense of skill that not everybody can pull that off, you know. So in a way, like, imposter syndrome holds you back, and it's holding you back because you feel like you don't even deserve to sit at the table. You don't even deserve to get the praise and the accolades and the accomplishments and stuff that you're getting. And it's like, you have to recognize that if you're getting it and you're at the table, you're in the room, you were meant to be there, you know. So stop doubting yourself and almost like self-sabotaging, like, why am I here? I shouldn't be here. Like, people are gonna find me out, this, that, the third. Like, no, if you're in the room and that opportunity opened up for you, you're supposed to be there. And I know for me, another example is when I was doing business coaching. For some of you who have been following my journey long enough, you know I used to do business coaching back in like the end of 2020 into early 2021. Now it's more so like mentorship and consulting, but nevertheless, like, to differentiate between those things is another conversation. But nevertheless, when I entered the business coaching space, I had a major imposter syndrome, y'all. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to you, because it's not that I didn't know the subject matter. Again, I felt like I wasn't qualified, because it's like a lot of this stuff I literally learned within the last like 1 to 3 months. You know, some of it is just stuff I've known for a while, and other stuff is honestly just God giving me the discernment and the wisdom to know these things. And I knew that I knew it because I would often, well, I did pay for coaching and things like that from other like higher up, quote unquote, coaches, like coaches that were more successful and stuff like that. And I would listen to like you know, free webinars and stuff from some of the gurus in the game. And not all the time now, but I would say often enough, when I would join these free seminars or I would pay for coaching and stuff like that, they weren't really telling me anything that I didn't already know. And it was like, wow, like, God really imparted a sense of wisdom into me that, you know, some of the stuff that they're saying, I personally have not really lived it out, or at least not in its entirety, but I have the same wisdom as them, and they've got all this experience. So it's like, you know, that's God's favor. I can't claim that in and of itself is God's favor. But I'm just saying, like, there are also things that I've learned from experiences, just from my own research or whatever, where it's like, okay, well, clearly I know a thing or two, so why am I doubting myself, you know? And it really made me show up as a shrunken version of myself too. And that's another thing, like, when you're battling with imposter syndrome, maybe right now you're struggling accepting the fact that, like, okay, there's a great opportunity came to me. I'm sitting in front of people that I never thought I would sit in front of. People are coming to me asking for help on things that I never thought they would come to me and ask for help on. And I just don't know if I'm qualified. And so now all of that self-doubt is showing up in your work. It's showing up in your business. It's showing up in how you live your life, because you're showing up as a smaller version of yourself. You're shrinking yourself back because, again, you're scared of being found out. If I let it all hang out, they're going to find out that, oh my gosh, heaven forbid, I don't know everything. You know, heaven forbid, I don't have all the answers, or heaven forbid, I don't have this all figured out, or whatever. Like, so you're showing up as a smaller version of yourself, and that does nobody any justice, especially as a business owner. Okay. Because especially if you're a business owner that's reaching back and teaching people, or consulting, coaching, anything of the sort, where you're reaching back and like informing people and helping them in their journey, you showing up as a shrunken version of yourself is not it. Okay. Because they're looking to you for guidance, and that's even worse in those situations. But showing up as a shrunken version of yourself, period, is never a good look, because the world needs you and all of you. Like, there's a reason why, again, you're at the table. There's a reason why you're in the room. There's a reason why the opportunity came your way. So it's like, stop doubting that it's for you. Stop doubting your capabilities. Stop beating yourself up and like literally tossing and turning and wondering if you're worthy, and take it and show up in your most beautiful, boldest self. And honestly, I feel like imposter syndrome gets worse when we get into these states of comparison. I can only speak for me and my experiences, but I know for me, every time I got into a season of life where I was really comparing myself to somebody else. I mean, I'm like looking to the left, I'm looking to the right, I'm scrolling a little too much on social media. I really started to doubt myself. I really started to feel like a fraud, because, you know, everybody online, and I know we hear this all the time, it's like, oh my gosh, another comparison, you know, example. But I'm serious, like, we gotta bring it up all the time, because we struggle with comparison on a daily basis, especially with social media and how much it inundates us with, you know, imagery and people's highlight reels and stuff. But that's gonna be another video for another day. because that's a whole other conversation in and of itself. But it's like when you're sitting there, you're comparing yourself, you know? So again, bringing it back to the business coaching example, I'm going online and people are like, yeah, I started my business last month. I already made my first 10K month. You know, look at this client, look at that client, people showing their pay stubs and how much they make. And I even fell privy to that, you know, where I was starting to like want to do things to show people like, hey, you know, yeah, like look at me, like I'm not an imposter, I'm not a fraud, this and that. And then it's like I had to check myself, and it's like, first of all, the people for you are going to resonate with you. So you don't have to jump through hoops and bend over backwards and do the absolute most to get their attention. And that's another reason why I kind of had to get out of that industry in the way that I was in it. But I have a video coming up about that, and I know it's gonna step on some toes, but it's a conversation that needs to be had. So needless to say, that's why I got out of that, because honestly, it's like I feel like that industry is one prime example. It's not the only one, it's not the most prevalent necessarily, or the worst out of all of them, but it definitely is one where I feel imposter syndrome can hit you hard. And like I said, the video that I'm gonna do is gonna touch on why that is, but the way people move in the coaching industry, I can see why they feel like an imposter, because honestly, a lot of them are hard. So, but that's a story for another day. But needless to say, you know, that can make it worse. And then also another thing I feel that makes imposter syndrome pretty bad is hustle culture, because a big part of hustle culture is to not fail. It's to grind and hustle and toil and keep your hands on the plow. You know, you don't get tired. Thank you, Kevin Gates. It's doing all of that so that you can avoid failure, because obviously we don't want to fail. We don't want to make mistakes. You know, we got to have it all together. And so it's like, if you aren't, you know, starting business and having your first 10K month within the first 3 to 6 months of business, and you don't have the luxury cars, and you don't have the big house, and you don't have the luxury clothing items and the trips to Tulum and Bali or whatever, like whatever they're doing, because I swear like every year it's a new place. But again, another video for another day. As long as it ain't Miami, because that's washed up, you know, like no offense to those of you from Miami, but I'm just saying, like, you know, that is just a regular trip at this point. That's not a splurge. But either way, back on the topic. So, you know, it can really make you feel like, well, if I don't have this luxurious lifestyle, if I don't have all these things, then obviously I must be an imposter, because the success should follow. But the thing is, like, if the success follows, you still feel like a fraud, because it's like, you know, I'm not talented enough, you know, like obviously I'm not like them, and that's why they have XYZ. You know, if I was as smart as them, if I was as talented as them, then I would have that too, but I don't. So technically I'm not really worthy of all the accolades that I'm getting, all the praise, all the achievements and stuff like that. You know, that's kind of an example. But I do have a video coming up about hustle culture, which I have mentioned in another video, I think, but that's going to be coming up in the near future. I can't say the exact week, but you know, we really got to dive into that, because it really is like a major stain on our society. But needless to say, hustle culture, perfectionism, self-worth, self-doubt, and imposter syndrome all kind of have a place where they intersect, I can't even speak, where they intersect and affect the next thing. And, you know, we just have to be careful with that, because at the end of the day, this is why I encourage people to work out of purpose, because when you are in your purpose, I feel like it lessens the instances where you would feel imposter syndrome. It's not going to be perfect. You're definitely still going to feel it. I still struggle with this sometimes, even in this YouTube space. You know, when I want to speak on certain things and I want to bring certain things to the light, I'm like, am I qualified for that? Like, should I, you know, should I speak? Or even sometimes, like, I literally would have taken the video like hours before I upload it, and I'm just like, ooh, they gonna think I worked on this so hard, but I really just did this all in one day, like recorded, edited real quick, and threw it up there. So I feel like you're never really gonna get around imposter syndrome, because it's almost like a human instinct to feel like a fraud if things are happening for you too quick, I guess, or it's too much success at once, or whatever could be the trigger. But what we can do is try to pinpoint, why are you feeling like an imposter? Like, what is it? Is it really just the core being that you don't have any like sense of self-worth? You know, is it the self-doubt? Is it the fact that you truly are capping out here. And so that's why you feel like an imposter. Like, we have to get to the root of it so that way we can show up as a better version of ourselves and we don't hold ourselves back. Because the longer you struggle with imposter syndrome, the longer it's going to take for you to really show up being your 110% self, and that's going to hold you back in so many other areas. So it's best to really do this early and to notice it when it's happening. Like, when am I feeling less adequate? When am I feeling, you know, like I'll be found out? When am I feeling like I'm not really bringing anything to the table, so why am I here, type of thing? Like, take stock of those things and work around it so that you can do the work to get down to the root of the matter. Well, hopefully this video encourages you, gave you some insight, something. Honestly, this was just something I wanted to get off my chest. It's almost kind of a rant, so I apologize if my thoughts seem all over the place. I'm really just kind of like flowing with this. But if you enjoyed this video and you enjoy videos like this, commentary, opinion pieces, anything like that, then go ahead and hit the subscribe button. At the time that I'm taping this video, I'm almost at 1K subscribers. And honestly, I'm not one to really put my goals out there like that, because y'all know I love to move in silence. That's my most popular video on my channel. But my goal this year is to hit 5K subscribers. My goal in 2022 is to hit 5K subscribers. So let's see if we could get it done. I appreciate all the love up until this point. Don't forget to like this video as well so YouTube knows you enjoy this content, and I will see you on the next video.